Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. PC Mag is reporting that GM and Polestar may be delayed when it comes to accessing the Tesla Supercharger network. Both companies were supposed to have access by spring of 2024, and the last day of spring this year is June 20th. Polestar is now saying it's not going to happen for them until later this year. The timeline has been adjusted to later this summer, but we do not have further details to share at this time. A GM rep said adapters will be available to purchase through the GM vehicle brand apps later this year. But she then clarified the timeline is still spring of 2024, but that GM does not have a specific date for when adapters will go out. As it stands now, it's Tesla, Ford, and Rivian customers that have access to the network. Separately, direct to Inside EVs, the GM rep said we plan to stick to the timeline that we previously announced, and that's kind of all I can say. I think spring 2024 is accurate. It's just speculation, but about 1 month ago, Tom told us from State of Charge that Tesla was indeed manufacturing these adapters for other automakers. So possibly as part of Tesla's layoffs, these adapters are now also delayed. We know NACS is an open protocol, so there's a chance in the past few weeks some of these other automakers have spun up production of these adapters on their own, but that seems like a pretty short timeline. So until I hear confirmation otherwise, I'm going to stick with Tesla is still solely responsible for making these officially approved adapters for other companies. In fairness to Tesla, we really don't know how much these other companies need to do on the software side, so could they be responsible in part for these delays? There's certainly a chance. Jowa, a company that makes Tesla accessories, said Tesla sales are ripping all over the world now. We're getting web traffic jumps from everywhere. Haven't seen a spike like this in over 6 months. In case you saw this, I just wanted to clarify, they don't have any proprietary Tesla sales data obviously, but over time they've noticed that their web traffic actually is a decent proxy for actual Tesla sales. So I know everybody's looking for a glimmer of hope for Q2 sales for Tesla, but given Tesla did 466,000 in Q2 last year, it's tracking like we're still going to be significantly below that number for Q2 this year. The Tesla Shuttle or the Tesla train in Giga Berlin is going to be shut down for a few weeks in the middle of June as they're actually replacing some diesel cars for electric ones. The shuttle is used by around 3,000 passengers per day, and it's not just Tesla employees. Anyone can actually use this service. It makes up to 26 trips in each direction every day. The electric rail cars from Siemens will be running on the route in the future after a break of several weeks. You know what they say about when it rains, it also pours. Elon is now being sued in a new lawsuit for insider trading. If you're not familiar, these suits can be a joke like the one that was brought against Elon from some Doge investors last year. And in that case, it didn't take long for Elon to return the attack. But I think it's always good to check the facts of the case. A Tesla shareholder brought this suit alleging that Elon was using insider info when he sold over $7 billion of Tesla stock at the end of 2022. Specifically, that Tesla was going to miss on production and delivery numbers for Q4 of that year. The suit said Elon profited from his misconduct in his exploitation of material and adverse inside information. And get this, they're asking Judge Kathleen McCormick to order Elon to return the profit from his improper trading to Tesla. If somehow it was not already clear, this is the same judge that just rescinded Elon's 2018 pay package. I did go ahead and read through the case, and it's not just Elon that's a defendant, but the entire Tesla board. To set the stage for what happened here on the Q3 call, Elon made some comments like, Q4 is looking extremely good. We have excellent demand for Q4, and we expect to sell every car we make as far into the future as we can see. Then they go on to say that once those Q4 numbers came out, the production and delivery gap widened by around 36,000 vehicles during the Q4. But what they failed to mention was that in 2022, Tesla's deliveries grew 40% year over year to 1.31 million, and production grew 47% year over year to 1.37 million. But for the purpose of this episode, this is the main thrust of the lawsuit. Elon was in possession of material non-public information that motivated his sales of shares. Here are the actual Tesla stock sales. The first one was November 4th, followed by the 7th and the 8th. totaling $3.9 billion. Then the second lot started on December 12th, followed by the 13th and the 14th, for a total of $3.5 billion. Unfortunately for Elon, those sales were not reported as sales pursuant to a 10b5-1 plan, so these were not predetermined sales. And again, Elon admitted he had no 10b5-1 plan for the November and December 2022 sales. The suit said Elon's sales in December 2022 were followed by announcements of material adverse news of events at Tesla which are reasonably believed to have been known to Elon when he made those sales. They argue that Elon's insider profits turned out to be around $3 billion. They also pointed out on August 19th, 2022, Elon tweeted, "In the hopefully unlikely event Twitter forces the deal to close and some equity partner does not come through, it's important to avoid an emergency sale of Tesla stock." For the timeline, Elon closed the Twitter purchase on October 28th, 2022. Then in the first week of December 2022, Elon was in talks to take margin loans on his Tesla stock to refinance around $3 billion of Twitter stock. The suit says none of the reports indicated Elon or Twitter were being required by the bank lenders of the $3 billion to refinance. Earlier in 2022, presumably linked to the Twitter acquisition, Elon sold $8.5 billion of Tesla stock in April and $6.9 billion in August. That's when Elon tweeted, "No further Tesla sales planned after today." And they said there was no public announcement before Elon's November sales that the November sales were part of Elon's plan in connection with the financing of the purchase of Twitter. And yes, there were multiple times throughout this suit where there are errors, whether it's spelling or numbers, as they said Models 3 and 4, which they mean Model 3 and Y. Then the majority of the remainder of the lawsuit goes on to argue that Tesla's board is not actually independent and they should have ultimately stopped Elon from making this Tesla stock sale. Also of note, Tesla's Q4 deliveries in 2022 were 405,000. The analyst expectation for that quarter was 427,000. What did we talk about though when we learned that Elon's 2018 comp plan was rescinded and that the board was not independent? That opened the door wide open for other suits just like this. And the relief the plaintiff is actually looking for in this case, awarding the company, Tesla, the disgorgement of all insider trading profits from Elon. But that's not all. They're also looking for the defendants to pay pre- and post-judgment interest at the highest rate allowable by law on the amount of damages awarded to the company. And finally, granting such other and further relief as the court deems just and proper. Hopefully that gives you a decent idea of the timelines and the things that Elon is currently being accused of, but in the lawsuit, plenty of it was actually redacted, so we'll wait and see what happens. On X, Paul Graham said, "Technological shifts often enable new entrants to displace incumbents. When they do, it tends to be permanent. Whether we like it or not, our default assumption should be that this is the new order of things. This being China, now a global leader in auto exports, and specifically EVs." Paul's follow-up, "Thank God the US at least has Tesla. Imagine if we had to depend on GM to compete with this." Tesla put out a creative marketing piece with some photos of Optimus teaching people how to actually vote their Tesla shares. Goes without saying, had Optimus done this in a video, that would have been even better. Unplugged has made it official on X. Their first Cybertruck upfit is ready for police patrol. The only problem is people may now want to be thrown in the back of a squad car. In Tesla's spring update in service mode, it'll now tell you the health of your cabin filter. In general, Tesla recommends replacing your cabin filter every 2 years, and if you have the HEPA filter, it's every 3 years. This update will show you a percentage. The lower that percentage, the higher the likelihood you need a new filter. Starting today, the Kia EV9 will be manufactured in the United States at a factory in West Point, Georgia. This 3-row SUV is available in 6 or 7-seat configurations. The smaller battery pack is 76 kilowatt hours that gets 230 miles of range, and the larger 100 kWh pack is good for 304 miles of range. The EV9 starts at $54.9 thousand for the base rear-wheel drive variant. Hyundai has 2 battery plants that are expected to go online in Georgia later this year, so they're expecting the EV9 to qualify initially for the partial tax credit and then later at some point in 2025 for the full credit. Tesla's audible and visual seatbelt reminder signals were not going off at the time they were supposed to, so Tesla will be issuing an OTA update to fix that. We got some more information on the Jeep Wagoneer S Launch Edition that will start at $71.9 thousand with an estimated 300 miles of range. A lot of people out there are saying this is Jeep's first electric vehicle. It really isn't, it's just the first one to be sold in the United States. Jeep already has the Avenger in Europe. When Jeep unveiled this vehicle, they were touting at least 400 miles of range, so it's coming in 100 miles under that figure. This 5-seater will have a 100 kilowatt-hour pack and a 400-volt architecture. They're touting 45 inches of glass display, but there is a segment just for passengers. The passenger display can talk with the main display, so passengers can share driving directions and other info. It will have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and this car is likely to qualify for the $7,500 credit. This vehicle is supposed to hit EV certified dealerships this fall, and it's going to be built in Mexico. There will be a 3 cubic foot trunk compared to the Model Y, which is 4.1 cubic feet. Sadly, they're saying this vehicle will use the CCS connector for now, with NACS coming in a few years. RJ Scaringe said the slowdown in EV adoption will shift towards stronger growth with the introduction of new models in coming years. He said there are not enough compelling EVs in the market to get more US customers out of their ICE vehicles. He said, "I think it's really important to have choice. We haven't had choice, so we've had a singular dominant market share player in the space today, but I also think that as you see more choices for EVs, it'll really help drive more EV demand." On Rivian's 1-month factory shutdown, he said those changes alone took thousands of dollars of cost out of the pack and the modules, taking the number of components in the R1 battery pack from 41 down to 16. They also renegotiated with suppliers, and the plant was reorganized to increase line speed by 30%, but only a relatively small number of revised R1 models with the lower cost structure will go on sale in the quarter. In a nice change of pace, we got a new proxy document from Tesla, this time somebody actually making arguments for Tesla's re-domestication to Texas. These arguments were made by Nate Fisher, a Tesla shareholder and the CEO of New Founding, a venture firm that's headquartered in Dallas, Texas. One line to get the gist of his arguments: the reality is that Tesla has become a target of partisan lawfare today because many left-wing activists view Elon as a threat to their censorious regime. The Tornetta case was not the first time, nor will it be the last. Looking around the Tesla space right now, one thought keeps coming to mind. It's usually darkest just before the dawn. Tesla stock closed the day at $178.08, down 0.4%, while the Nasdaq was down 0.01%. It was another lower volume day for Tesla, trading about 25 million shares below the average the past 30 days. Hope you guys have a wonderful and a safe weekend. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X, linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.